Right, today we're going to look at a very short but instructive happy sutta, the Sumana Dāna Sutta. Now, notice the title originally is just Dāna Sutta. So the many Dāna Suttas, we put in the prefix here, Sumana. Now, Sumana here is not a name, it is an adjective. Mana means the mind, Su means good or happy. So Sumana means happy mind. It's also quite a popular name. The Discourse on Giving with a Happy Mind. It has another name, a bit longer name, Cha-ḻ-aṅga Dāna Sutta. Cha means six, and then anga means factor. The L with the dot is just to, we call it a sandhi. It joins up two vowels, the final vowel in cha and the initial vowel in anga. So Cha-ḻ-aṅga, meaning six-factored or six-limb giving. The giving with six factors or six conditions. And this is from Anguttara, Book of 6, Sutta 37, A 6.37. The theme is how to give with wholesome intentions, or happy giving, if you like. So this story is actually based on Dhammapada, on the Dhammapada's DH 112. It's a very simple verse. The verse runs like this: though one should live for 100 years, being lazy and lacking effort, better is a day's life of one who makes firm effort. So the idea here is, it's not like you make a ritual of meditation or a ritual of giving. It is to do it properly. Right? For example, in the Anguttara, the Buddha says, if you do loving kindness for a moment, it takes to pull the cow's teat, to milk the cow, just a few seconds. You have practiced the teaching, the Buddha says, right? So if you try just a short while, and that's a start. So don't worry about how long you sit in meditation. You have sat together with us here, and that's quite long already, right? So this knowing how it's like, there is this inner peace, and that's the starting of knowing the Dhamma. So according to this Dhammapada 112, the Dhammapada usually has a story behind it, and sometimes there's a story about an individual, sometimes an occasion. So here, it is about this novice called Sukha, a young novice who is very wise. And in a past life, there was this laborer called bhatika. So this laborer, he worked for 3 years for a rich man, and not so much for pay, but after 3 years, he will enjoy the life, happy life of a rich man, living with this merchant banker of the city. The merchant banker's name is Ganda. Ganda means fragrant. So there was this very interesting arrangement, right? So he worked for 3 years in it. He does this very happily. Of course, he gets a place to live, he gets food, clothing, things like that. So he works for this Seti in Pali, merchant banker. And then on his first day, he's finished his 3 years, and then he's now enjoying the wealth of this set. He was going to eat this nice dish of food, and then a pratyeka-buddha comes along. This individual Buddha comes along, and he, being such a kind man, he gives this food to the Buddha. So if he did not eat it, he gives food to the Buddha. He does it happily. And when his boss, his employer found out, this kind of found out, he's even more impressed. He's really happy with this, such a wonderful, good man who's willing to even sacrifice his own food, his first food. As a rich man, he gives this food to the pratyeka-buddha. So the story goes that this Ganda, this Seth, shares half his wealth with this bhatika. Okay, and this is the kind of story, of course, you hear in Dhammapada, people living this long time ago, in a time when people are happy and there are not too many people around, and they're truly good people. So it's willing to share his wealth. We're talking about people who have gone through a lot of experience of difficulties, happiness in life, and they're coming closer to the Buddha, they're reaching this awakening moment and so on. So they're not ordinary people, all right? So the Buddha is not saying, hey, everybody should give away half their wealth or anything like that. It's just saying that, well, you go on practicing the Dharma, you find there is this special thing happening for you. So then that's not all. The king comes along and hears about this, and he too is very happy, and he makes this bhatika asset himself. He makes this this person, this ex-laborer, into a Seth himself. He becomes a merchant, a banker, becomes a rich man himself with the king's appointment. And then after, when he passed away, he's reborn among the devas. So he's reborn happily. And then in his last life, he's reborn in Savatthi as the boy Sukha. He becomes a novice, a young novice, because he's gone through so many wonderful spiritual lives, and he becomes a novice and attains arhats and passes away. So this is the story the Buddha is telling us in connection with the joyful giving. Okay, so let's look at this story, and then let's see what teaching that I can share with you. All right, Sumana Dāna Sutta, the discourse on giving with a happy mind. Now, this sutta is given in Savatthi. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jeta's Grove near Savatthi. The six-limb giving. Now, at that time, the laywoman Velu Gandaki Nandamata, mother of Nanda, established, or you can translate this as introduced, giving endowed with 6 limbs for the Sangha, headed by Sariputta and Moggallana. So this is a story about this laywoman. I think this is the only time we hear about her. We don't even know her real name, actually. This Nanda Mata, mother of Nanda. Again, here we're not sure which Nanda. There's so many Nandas. Nanda means happy, joyful. We know that she's from Velu Kandaka. Okay, Velu Kandaki, Nanda Mata. Nanda's mother from Velu Kanda. Now, what she did? What did she do? Okay, let's find out here. Right, and she made offering to the Sangha, headed by Sariputta and Moggallana. 1.3. Now, the Blessed One, by means of the divine eye or clairvoyance, purified and surpassing the human, saw that the laywoman Velu Kandaki Nandamata had established the giving endowed with 6 limbs for the Sangha headed by Sariputta and Moggallana. So the Buddha sees this good deed, this wonderful occasion involving this wonderful lay woman, right? Now here the sutta says the Buddha was not present, but he knows what's going on through his divine eye, through his meditation. He kind of knows, oh, okay, this woman is doing this. Now there's a saying in the suttas and commentaries, whatever we do, the Buddhas and the Devas know, so we cannot really hide all this, any kind of karma, no matter how secret. How do the Devas know? Well, they're in their heaven or place of abode where they can know what's going on in our lives because of their level of being, if you like. I used to imagine it's like, they're living in this distant place, but they have this powerful telescope, they can see us. The meaning is that they have this ability to know our karma, basically. And the Buddha also knows our karma. Of course, it's not that he knows all our karma at the same time. Rather, he looks at us and he's able to tell us, okay, this is what you've done this thing in the past, or this thing is helping you now, or this thing is not helping you now, and so on. So there's nothing that we can hide in terms of karma. It will come back. Karma will come back to us. If there's anything we own, it's not all the worldly property that we have, but it's our karma. We talk of owning the karma in the sense that it is this action that we are doing. Karma is our intention. Our intention, in this case, there are 6 kinds: 3 good, 3 bad. The 3, well, normally we begin with the unwholesome roots, the akusala mula. We have greed, hatred, delusion. So when we act with this motivation of either greed, hate, or delusion, that action is regarded as unwholesome. And you have 3 kinds of karma by way of doors, the 3 doors. That is the body door, speech door, mind door. Okay. Body door and speech door, of course, are related to moral conduct. So if we keep the precepts, then of course the body door, speech door are well kept. There's good karma of body and speech. The 3rd door is the mind. So just having a good thought, a kind thought, doing loving kindness, meditation on the breath, these are all good mental karma. So you have mental karma, bodily karma, and speech karma, right? So when these 3 doors of action are free from greed, free from hatred, free from delusion, that is very good karma indeed. Okay? Since we are not awakened, it's not that easy for us to be totally free from all the 3 roots. But if we can even be free from one at a time, I mean, that's really great. In other words, the other 2 roots are not active, but there's this one. Let's say we have loving kindness, but at the same time, we don't show hatred. And there's nothing to talk about delusion because we're just focusing on this loving kindness. So that karma is a good karma in that sense. We feel peaceful. We feel good. In a sense, you have come this far as happy people, as people who are able to study the suttas, get it together in peace, live happily. You find you have done some good karma, and this karma has kept you going like that. So we keep on doing this good karma so that we can continue to better ourselves through the teaching. And moral virtue, moral living also means you make other people happy. You connect with other people in a happy way. So precepts doesn't just mean not killing, not stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, not getting drunk. It's not just that. That's for yourself. The precepts also means there are other people. The precepts is about other people. There is loving kindness. You act through your loving kindness for the benefit of others. Right? So you have this pyramid. At the bottom, there's this broad base. So it's about yourself and others. Why must you keep the precepts? Because there are also other people around you who have the same desires and good wishes, same values. They value life, they value property, they value freedom, they value truth and wisdom. So we keep the precepts for that same reason. And then with that moral training, we can calm our minds more easily. So that's the second level of training, mental cultivation. Then you have moral virtue, mental cultivation. On that you build your wisdom, insight wisdom, liberating wisdom. So that's the training pyramid, if you like, all right? So there you are. Giving acts as a very important virtue. In fact, it's so important that you have this set of teachings for lay people called Dāna, Sila, Bhavana. Okay, Dāna, Sila, Bhavana. Dāna is giving. A lay person should practice giving. It's the first practice, which is quite easy. And then with that, you also practice moral virtue, right? And then with the help of both of these, which are good karma or punya, in this case, you practice mental cultivation. Wisdom is not mentioned yet here, but of course, you have another set of teachings called Sila, Samadhi, Panya, that you have a set there where wisdom is also listed. So let me just talk a bit about karma before I continue with the sutta. Why does the Buddha put Dāna first for lay people? This even among the monks also, they practice giving to each other. They share their robes, they share their food, things like that. Giving means we respect what other people value, their life, their health. So here, of course, we talk about food. We share food. Normally we give food to the monks, right? So that's the first support, giving of food, and there's the giving of robes for them to protect themselves from the weather, to be healthy and comfortable enough to practice the Dhamma. So that is giving of robes or clothing. And then thirdly, the giving of a shelter, a place to live, or a place to stay, a place to be safe. In this case, we can also include the gift of safety, the gift of comfort, the gift of security. Sometimes by saying a kind word to people, you can uplift them. They feel comfortable, they feel comforted, they feel happy, they feel someone cares for them, someone talks to them. As we grow older, you find our good friends, they also grow old, they pass away, you have less friends. And you feel good when people talk to you, especially in a friendly way, just saying hi, and sometimes getting together and having a nice chat. So that also is a gift, the gift of friendship, if you like. And of course, the highest gift, we say, is the gift of the Dharma. You teach the Dharma so that people know how to study the Dhamma for themselves, and that way build their own inner strength and their own path to awakening. So this is the following expansion of the third group, the third pachaya, the third kind of support. And the last one is the gift of health, medicine, health support, and so on, taking care of the sick, right? You find that now in Singapore with the sector of seniors growing, there are lots of old people, so we have a lot of people being trained to take care of the elderly and the sick. All right, so this is a very important aspect. As you know, the Buddha himself has declared to the monks that if anyone were to respect the Buddha, he should serve the sick. He should take care of the sick. He who is to serve me should serve the sick. And this is the logo for the Sangha hospital in Bangkok, where I was as a young monk. I had my appendix removed there. So this gift of health, the gift of medicine and health support is the fourth pachaya. So you have the Chatu Pachaya, the four pachayas, the gift of robes, food, a gift of shelter, and the gift of last one is health. All right. So in a sense, you see all this happening with us here also in the Pali house with the Dhammapadas, with us, with me as a family. So in a sense, my life with Ratna and our family is a bit of a Dhamma experiment that I want to show people that even lay people, if you can't be monks and nuns as lay people, if you dedicated, especially starting from young, you can work together either alone or with a partner, and you be dedicated, and you win the hearts of people, you win their faith because of your dedication to the Dhamma, and they will support you. They will take care of you. It doesn't need much. It's because so many people out there, if you're not giving a bit, and that's enough for you. In fact, many of the things that we have right now is because of the suggestions of the people, right? Like even this Pali house, for example, just some friends, they say, oh, you should have your own place instead of renting a house, which is very expensive in Singapore, even 20 years ago. So with their help, we managed to get a corner house, which is quiet enough so that we can do our study and work and meditation and have classes like this. And we managed to do that. And all this without me being salaried as a Buddhist worker. It's all supported by faith. And even this gathering we have through Zoom also, all these are done by faith, faith of the people, your faith, right? So here faith means you feel joyful in the Dhamma, you feel joyful in seeing the Dhamma being taught, you want to learn the Dhamma, you feel joyful about it. So there is this joy and Dāna going together. You give joyfully. It's very important to give joyfully. We give not expecting anything. Of course, the Buddha keeps telling us there's so many wonderful good karma, the karmic fruits that we get. But we give because we rejoice in the Dhamma, because we want the Dhamma to prosper, and we are playing our part, so to speak, our role in allowing this to happen, basically. So in other words, by your common charity, by your group Dāna, you find I'm able to work full-time, doing the Sutta work for the last more than 20 years now. And every day doing a bit of Sutta translation. And it's a joy for me to do the Sutta translation, now working with volume 62. And there's always something there. The Sutta is there waiting for you when you need it, when you want to look at it, when you want to study it, when you want to read the Sutta and then do some meditation. It's all there available. So this is where the Buddha is still with us, in that sense, when we sit and meditate together. All this is possible because of this Dāna you all have put together as lay Buddhists, and even monks. We have some monks who have been kind and supporting us, and that is really inspiring for me to know that they value the Dhamma, and this makes our work even more meaningful and joyful. All right, so that is a bit of a significance of Dāna, of giving. Because when we give, we also give life to others, basically. And when you give life, you also give opportunity to learn, to awaken. Because it is through our life that we awaken to the path. Our life as human beings is the best way to reach the path. All right, so now we go back to the sutta. What are these 6 limbs that Nandamata has introduced, that the Buddha praises her for such a wonderful act? So there are 3 of which. Okay, the giver here, bhikshus, the giver has 3 limbs, and the recipients have 3 limbs, 3 factors each. 2.2. what are the limbs of the giver? Here, bhikshus, the giver gives with a happy mind. Now, this number one means in preparation, even while preparing to give, working to save some money to give Dāna, for example. The person does it happily. Number two, while giving, her mind is joyful with faith. Right? While giving, she's so happy. Say, oh, I'm able to do this, and feels very happy. And number three, having given, her mind is joyful. Why? Because she has completed that giving. She has done that giving. So many things could have happened, and then the occasion might be cancelled, but she managed to complete it. So all these three things are complete. Before, during, after. There is joy. So these are the three limbs of the giver. And what are the three limbs of the recipients? Those who are receiving this Dāna. Here, bhikshus, says the Buddha, the recipients have removed lust or are practicing to remove lust. Because those who have removed lust are the arhats. Those practicing to remove lust are the learners and anyone who's keeping the precepts. Here, lust is a shorthand for anything that is bad. So while keeping the precepts, we are trying to cut down on this. Number two, they have removed hatred. Right? Notice lust and then hatred, second unwholesome root, or are practicing to remove hatred. Lust and hatred always go together, but because they're very powerful negative emotions, they are listed separately. Where there is lust, there is also hatred. They go together. So you remove lust, you also remove hatred. How are they connected? When we lust after something, we get very angry when someone prevents or takes away what we are after. So there you are. This lust and hatred, they go together like light and dark. Okay. And this kind of practice goes on because we have delusion. That's root number three. They have removed delusion in this case. The arhats have removed lust, hatred, delusion, or are practicing to remove delusion. You have the non-returner, once-returner, the extreme winners, practicing to remove delusion. The good lay people also keeping the precepts, learning the Dhamma to remove delusion. So there you are. These are the limbs of the recipients. So you have three of the giver and three of the recipients. And thus, bhikshus, the giving is endowed with 6 limbs. Okay, so I will stop here for a while, just nice, 5 minutes to 9. Then we finish the rest of the sutta after this. Okay, so now we come to the conclusion of the sutta, where the Buddha talks about the immeasurability of the merit of giving. Okay? Now you notice this word immeasurability, boundlessness. It's very common in Buddhist teaching, Buddhist practice. For example, loving kindness is often said to be, we should develop it to the level of being boundless. Then in breath meditation also, we come to the stage where we just let the breath go so that we feel joyful. The breath becomes immeasurable in that sense. So here, even the merit, what is the merit here? Is that joy of giving. When we give, we feel happy. And we feel happy giving, sharing in a happy way, respecting the dignity of others, giving them life, happiness, so that they too can practice the Dhamma. So verse 3, the Buddha says, bhikshus, it is not easy to grasp the measure of the merit of such a giving endowed with the 6 limbs. Thus, okay, let's look at what the Buddha has to say further down here. So to this extent is the yield of merit, the yield of wholesomeness, the bringing of happiness, the heavenly, fruiting in happiness, leading to heaven, conducive to what is longed for, wishing for lovely, beneficial, and happy. So the Buddha is saying it's hard to measure goodness. How do you measure the benefit you have given and the benefit we have received? It is something in the mind, so you can't measure it. It's something we are, not something we have, but something we are. So one of the wonderful things about giving is this. We have something because of our good karma. We have some extra things, some good things in life. And then what we have, we share with others. And when we share with others, then we become this joy. We are, right? Our being and having. Whatever we have, we cannot bring with us when we move on, when we pass on. But what we are, we bring with us life after life after life. So we want it to be something good, something joyful. So what we have is right now in this world, belongs to this world. But what we are follows us, life after life after life. 3.2, bhikshus. Just as it is not easy to grasp the measure of water in the great ocean, thus hundreds of thousands of bucketfuls, for that great mass of water is regarded as incalculable, immeasurable. Even so, bhikshus, it's not easy to grasp the measure of merit of such a giving endowed with the 6 limbs. Thus, to this extent is the yield of merit, the yield of wholesomeness, the goodness, the bringing of happiness, how much happiness it brings us, the heavenly, fruiting in happiness, leading to heaven, conducive to what is longed for, wishing, in other words, the good things you wish for, and getting them, wish for lovely, beneficial, and happy, physically being happy. It's hard to measure. Indeed, bhikshus, the great mass of merit is incalculable, immeasurable. 3.5. Now, so the Buddha closes his teaching with 2 verses. Even before the giving, the mind is happy. While giving, the mind is bright with faith. Having given, the mind is joyful. This is the fulfillment of the offering. Right, so here, the offering is pure, complete. Having removed last hatred and delusion, free from the influxes, the self-restrained brahmacharis celibates are the fulfillment of the offering's field. Here refers to the monks, the good monks, especially arhats. They've uprooted the 3 unwholesome roots, greed, hatred, delusion. They're free from the influxes, those negative emotions which keep us in samsara. The self-restrained brahmacharis, so in other words, these are monks and nuns who keep to the Vinaya. They have no physical relationship, no sexual relationship, because they want, number one, they're happy with themselves through meditation, and they keep to the Vinaya rules. So because of that, it's wonderful to be able to give to them. Even though we do not know who are the arhats today, we know this is possible. And in time to come, we might get the opportunity in the future, because now we have made that kind of understanding. So this is wonderful. One day when the time comes, I want to do this. I want to be able to offer to the arhats, to the Buddha. Cleansing oneself. One gives with one's own hands. Of course, here, cleansing means both body and mind. Right? Keeping ourselves clean, body and mind. We offer with our own hands. We don't just stand there and get others to say, do this, do that. We ourselves, the king himself offers to the Buddha, because that's the joy of giving. You are part of it. There is no status involved here, but there is the state of joy, the state of goodness. The offering bears great fruit in the hereafter too for oneself. The faithful wise, having given thus with a free mind, the wise will arise in the affliction-free happy world, the happy world free from suffering, in other words, whether it is in the heavenly worlds or on earth. So this is the benefit of giving. Okay, sadhu. Complete the sutta. Now we have quite a lot of time for about 20 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Piya, for the teaching. Now we have our Q&A. Sister Isim will take over the session. Sister Isim, thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ratna. Thank you, Piya, for the teaching. For the Q&A in the chat, there is no question at the moment in the chat box.
That's all right.
Any brother and sister would like to ask question verbally, you may do so. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Maya, you can unmute and ask your question now.
All right, yes.
Correctly. Brother Piya,
yes.
So you mentioned that a Buddha knows what we are doing, right? And also I read on your Facebook profile that the Buddha is in our hearts. So can you say a little bit more on that?
The Buddha, as you know, he has developed meditation to the fullest extent. So he's able to read the minds of others. So he's able to it's like a doctor. The doctor looks at you and say, okay, this is what's wrong, and this is how you correct it. So he's sometimes called a spiritual doctor, right? So he will look at you and say, oh, okay, you have done so many good things in the past, so that's what brings you here with all these wonderful blessings. Or you have this difficulty, like in the case of Angulimala, he became a monk, and then he was hurt. Some of the villagers found out that he was a monk, and he had killed so many people, and they threw stones at him, and he was hurt. And then the Buddha told him, be patient, Brahmin, be patient. Your karma will pass. So the Buddha didn't say, oh, we'll send those guys to hell. He doesn't talk like that. He tells this Angulimala, it will pass. Just let it pass. It's the way karma is. We pay it back. We let it go. So he knows all this. He tells us, it's like guiding us along with his knowledge. It's just like you are this elder brother, or you're a parent, and you tell this young person, young boy, well, if you study well, you'll be able to do well in your studies, and these are the benefits. So you know ahead what will happen. So it's this wisdom in the Buddha. It's not like he has his mind is all over the place, he knows everything. No, it's not like that. The Buddha himself says that it's impossible. Although there are some teachers who talk about omniscience, that this wise person can know everything all the time. It's not like that. It is situational. That's the kind of knowledge the Buddha has of us. So there's nothing we can hide from the Buddha, so to speak. All right.
So Brother Piya, if I may, so like in this context, when you're saying Buddha, what are you really referring to when you say we cannot hide anything from the Buddha?
Well, when we go before the Buddha, we go as we are. It's like seeing a doctor, you tell doctor as truthfully as you can your conditions, so the doctor will help to heal you. So he's there not to judge us, he's there to tell us what we can do, to give us a strategy despite our failures. He has great compassion, remember that, right? The Buddha has great wisdom, great compassion. So he's there to guide us. He's like the supreme consultant. He's telling us, okay, this is what you can do, okay, despite your failures and lack and so on. So that's what being a Buddhist is about. We learn to strengthen ourselves, to find our strength. despite our weaknesses.
So
right?
where is he?
Sorry?
Where is he, the Buddha?
In Nirvana. I mean, that's a manner of talking, you see. And we see the Buddha as a human being who is born, enlightened, passes away. It's not important that his body is there, but it is the teaching that he went through. If he is still alive today, wow, it's going to be quite tough for us. We have to keep up to that kind of standard also, you know. But here, the Buddha is just like any of us in a manner of speaking. Of course, he's a much stronger human. He came from the Sakya warrior caste and so on. So the point is he's able to awaken as a human being. Unlike the Brahmins who say, oh, you know, you must do all these rituals and we do these prayers for you, and then only you go to heaven. You must go through us. The Buddha said, no such thing. You yourself, through your own karma, will be responsible for your own actions. You can do it yourself. So the fact that the Buddha has passed away proves his teaching correct. And that's the wonderful thing. It's not a failure. It proves his teaching correct, that he has himself passed away, but his teachings will work for us also. So we too can attain nirvana in that sense. We don't, the Buddha will say, wrong question. We don't say, where is the Buddha? Because there's no more where. Nirvana is neither here nor there. You see, it's not a place, because when you talk about a place, it is bound by time and space, right? So nirvana will be conditional then.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to us where. See?
Right. And it's not annihilation either.
Right. Middle way. Yeah? Okay. Any other question? Next question.
Yeah, Brother Augustine raised his hand.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hi, Piya. Thanks for your teachings.
Yeah.
My question is, sometimes I feel like I share the Dhamma or material things with others, like Dāna, but not with the right intention. Or sometimes I think I want to impress others or seek their applause or praise. I want them to say, "Oh, Agustin is very intelligent," or something like that. But how can I practice against that
Okay.
kind of intention?
You know, that's the wonderful thing about the Dharma, you know. You have the courage to talk about yourself as if you are talking about someone else. This is a kind of expression of non-self, right? I mean, if you really want to be selfish, you want to be proud, you won't be talking about it, you see. You will just do it, you know. So my favorite answer is I say, you just do what you feel like doing. Because at that time, you have all this idea, I'm doing something good. And then you review your practice. Pacha vekana in Pali. Pacha means backwards. Review, like re in English. And then akana, from the root ik, meaning to see, right? So you review, say, oh, I shouldn't have said this, or maybe I did this because I was so proud of it. Okay, so the next time I won't think of in terms of pride. I feel that it's such a wonderful privilege to be able to do this. So this is how we refine our own way of thinking, right? So your attitude will be the result of their past, or this thing will happen, and then you watch yourself. You are your own experiment, so to speak. And then you notice, oh, I was like this, and now I'm going to better myself. I will be this, and you learn like that. It'd be more strange if someone tells me, oh, I've not done any wrong my whole life. Wow, I don't know what it means. You know? We learn through our shortcomings and mistakes. That's the meaning of suffering. Suffering means you notice you're not perfect. That you can, even if you think you are good in certain ways, you can be better. All right. I mean, take for example the suttas that I've translated, 20 years ago. I was looking at the Mahanidana Sutta today. I said, wow, I made some mistakes here, because at that time I was not sure. This is a very difficult sutta, this Mahanidana Sutta. It is the longest Dharma teaching given by the Buddha. And the fun part is actually wrote there in the sutta. I said, oh dear, I'm not sure about this point. It's so difficult, so I'm just writing this as it is, Then I look at it, I say, wow, okay. That's good. At least I was honest to myself. And now I understand better because I'm doing all this new research on the sanya, on perception, and I understand better what was mentioned in the Mahanidana Sutta. So I can revise it now, and I can change it. I can remove that paragraph which talks about how uncertain I am at that time. So in that sense, the Sutta discovery is a living translation. It's my own learning process. That is why we are advised never to place our life on the opinions of others, especially the gurus and teachers, who say they are right. Right? We can never know that. We can only say that the Buddha being awakened, he can be right. I say he can be right because we don't know how right he is until we ourselves attain the same level. But in studying the sutta, you know where you go wrong, you know where you need to be right. If you place yourself on the learning of others alone, that person could change his mind in the future. So are you going to keep up with him and you also change your mind because he changed his mind? So it's not very wise to place your wisdom in a guru's wisdom. You have to discover it for yourself. This is the meaning of self-reliance that the Buddha is telling us. You have to walk the path yourself, as mentioned in the Dhammapada. So, meaning you have to make the mistakes yourself, you learn from the mistakes, and you begin to understand why you should not make that mistake. So, first noble truth is, I made a mistake, right? We accept that as a truth. And because we accept that ourselves, it's noble in that sense. Number two, what's the cause? The cause of it, then we examine that. And then because the fact there is a cause, there's also the ending of it. You can end it. I want to end this thing. I want to correct myself. And then you actually go to practice it. And you attain that state of correctness. So it goes like that, basically holding the Four Noble Truths, right? So it's okay to be wrong. We are not awakened yet. Important thing is to accept it and then to know what can we learn. Suffering is about learning. It's teaching us we are not yet, we're still in progress. How we can progress. Right? Notice the same word has two wonderful meanings, two dimensions of meaning here. One is the actual movement of changing, and the other is actual movement of becoming better. Okay?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Brother Piya.
Yeah, sure.
There's a question from KM.
Yeah, sure. What does
What's
KM
your-
stand for? Yeah. Yes?
I don't know. What's your comment on temple donating their excess food to orphans and etc.? What's the merits accrued on both parties?
All right.
Is that food or donation considered a donation from the Sangha? Thanks.
KM, I don't see you. Is your video okay? Yeah, trying to show. Oh, that's good. Okay. May I know KM stand for what? I think your first time here, right? Microphone on, please. Microphone on.
That's my full name, Coming.
Coming, eh? Okay, very good. I'm happy to know you. Okay. Any kind of giving that is done with precept-wise, without breaking the precept and done joyfully, is good. Temples also give. Of course, they can, in many cases, they can do much better, of course. You know how temples are, so that there are always these committees and people with all kinds of opinions. And remember, when people do things in crowds, they're not perfect. If you go into a crowd, you find there's always some difficulty, and you really have to be patient. And it's a good place to learn, all right? So I would say temples that give food, free food especially, is very good. And it's the Dāna of the common people. They contribute to the temple, and the temple give back to the people, right? There are also occasions when the monks themselves, nowadays I notice, they also give. They also try to share because nowadays, you know, many of these monks, they're quite different already. They are kind of, many of them handle money, you know, so they also try to help others by donating cash also. This does happen nowadays because of this new way of thinking. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but of course, if we know this is not to be done. See? So these are adjustments they have made. So they have difficulties. I've spoken to a number of them. They have difficulties, so it's not easy for the Sangha to change the rules or even make a common decision. So that the monks have to decide for themselves how far they bend the rules without breaking it, you know, things like that. So any kind of giving that benefits others without hurting anyone, theoretically, would be good. All right. Okay, if there's special cases you're not sure, maybe you can specify and see what I can say.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Brother Piya.
Yeah, sure.
There's no more question in the chat box.
It's all right. Yeah.
Any more questions from the floor?
Yeah, you can still continue with the old questions if you're not happy with it. Yeah. Well, I hope you all will keep up with the new series, especially with the 60 series, SD 60 onwards. We have really a lot of new materials. The teachings are a bit more profound. Don't give up just because I say it's profound. If someone tells me they have written something profound, I'll be very excited to read it. All right. So you just read what you find you like from there. You will learn one thing next to another if you're very happy to be able to know all these wonderful things. Any next question?
There's no more question.
It's okay.
We
I
take
have a
group
question.
photo.
Yeah, sure.
Brother
Yeah,
Piya.
okay.
So this is actually a follow-on from what you just said about the SD60 series. Can
Yeah.
I just try to understand what's the rationale of how you are so-called organizing these suttas? Because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there must be a logic to how you are organizing the structure.
Yes,
And because I just joined,
yeah,
so I'm not quite sure what is the rationale.
Okay.
It'd be helpful to just
All right. Oh, that's a wonderful question. Yeah. The basic idea behind the Sutta discovery is to, of course, discover the suttas. It started off because I need to prepare the Sutta notes to teach a Sutta class. And those days we have those translations. So I use the translation. And then I found there are not enough notes, see, because you have the translation, but there's no notes. So what you're going to talk about? You know, it's not a comprehension class. You got to talk about the Dharma. You got to talk about life-changing things. So I did research. Then I told myself, I might as well translate everything. You know, so that's the logic. It started with that. You see, within a few weeks, definitely a few months of that. You know, it was 22 years ago, I think. So that's how I started. Then there's so many things to learn about the suttas. We're not just translating one sutta. There's so many ideas and terms, you know. And then I found that as you learn one sutta, there are another suttas, very important teachings. So you got to connect them. So in the 60 series, I'm able to connect more after 20 years of learning. I mean, you only take like 7 years to be a doctor, right? So this is 20 years, but Dharma takes longer than that, a whole lifetime. In fact, it's not enough. So as I begin to put them together, they become even more clear to me. I say, wow, this is wonderful. I understand this better now. And I want to share this with others. So how do I put this in a way people can understand? So I try to make short paragraphs, so easy reading for most people. And then I number them so that the teachers can say, okay, look at paragraphs, this number, you know, so easy. Otherwise, you have a whole, you know, some of these modern Buddhist book, you find this whole chunk of a few pages, just one number, so it's quite difficult to read. So I try to make it easy reading Dharma by looking, not just reading, but by looking. So, and then I find nowadays there's so much notes that I can no more translate everything that I want to. So what I've done, I say, instead of waiting to translate everything, and I could be wrong in the translation, I just put even the Pali in, because in the future, many of these teachers who are good, they'll know Pali also, and it's so easy for them, the Pali is there. Because there's so many good books today. For example, a couple of decades ago, two Sinhalese monks and a Japanese priest translated the Vimuttimagga. The Sinhalese monks do not know Chinese, and the Japanese priest does not know Pali. So it was not an easy translation to read. And then thankfully, recently, Bhante Jnana Tusita, who knows Chinese and English, he translated this new retranslated the whole of the Vimuttimagga in 2 big volumes. And it's really wonderful. This Vimuttimagga is older than the Visuddhimagga, right? Now, the good news is I read somewhere now, these 2 big volumes, which someone paid $100 over to Hong Kong University and donated the 2 volumes to me, can now be available. It's available free. So just go online and check Vimuttimagga Hong Kong. You can ask for them. The PDF is definitely free. So it is really worth reading because it's very well written, very good notes, lots of Pali notes, lots of Chinese notes also, and Sanskrit notes. So you have a really great scholarship today. I tell myself, with all this scholarship, there's no excuse not to study suttas in depth. But my point is, not many people can do that. So, I mean, it's very special position. I try to bring in all this difficult stuff, try to simplify them, at least tell people where they can look deeper, how to study the more difficult parts, things like that. So that is my basic rationale, to give you what I can get and to let you discover for yourself where your interests lie, and you go along that line. You follow that line of interest. Okay, you don't have to read everything, all right? Just find out what you're interested in, follow that line of interest. Okay, any other question? We have just passed the 1 minute after 9:30, but it's okay. If there's any question, you can still ask. A bit more, few minutes is all right.
Take a group photo.
Okay, so no more questions there. All right, so let us end this study for today then. Right, once again, we have come to this wonderful moment when we reflect on impermanence. We started about 1.5 hours ago. Now it's over. We have done something really wonderful, of great merit, keeping the precepts, doing some meditation, studying the suttas. So this is a time for us to be at peace with ourselves. Let us show our loving kindness to our loved ones, our teachers, also to yourself, which you yourselves well and happy that you may be able to grow wiser in the Dhamma. And at this point also, we put our palms together and show our deep gratitude to the Buddha, our teacher, the Dhamma, the teaching that liberates us, and the Sangha, the path that we aspire to follow. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.